much. Good morning, everyone. I'm truly delighted to be here today. I would like to thank all those who contributed to making this event possible. This is my first presentation in English, so I kindly ask for your patience, patience for the next 15 minutes. In the age of AI, the key question we all share is how we should shape both legal education and legal practice for the future. And I will be sharing my presentation titled Redesigning Legal Education in the Age of AI, Practice-Based Insights from Interdisciplinary Teaching. To start, I will briefly talk about my own educational background and my experiences as a student. I will then summarize my teaching experience as an academic, particularly in IT law and AI. After that, I will discuss students' expectations and their feedback. And finally, I will conclude with my overall reflections and recommendations. And on this slide, you can see the degrees I have completed and the professional roles I have held so far. I studied law at state universities in Turkey, completing both my undergraduate and postgraduate degrees there. I am also currently pursuing a degree in management information systems through distance education. In this sense, I continue to be a student myself. I find this journey meaningful as a part of lifelong learning approach and also as a way of reminding myself that educators must continue their own education. And I can summarize my educational journey as follows. My legal education followed a completely traditional model. I had no courses on technology or AI. However, while practicing law, my digital literacy significantly improved thanks to UYA, the national judiciary informatics system widely used in Turkey. Through this system, we could file and track cases online and complete many procedural steps digitally. During the pandemic, this digital system proved extremely helpful. Of course, cyber attacks posed a risk, but the benefits clearly outweighed the drawback. Even though law faculties didn't provide training on UYAP, we quickly learned to use it during internship. My second intensive encounter with technology came while drafting my doctoral thesis on AI in company management. To strengthen my technical knowledge, I enrolled in the undergraduate program in Management Information Systems at Anadolu University, which I am still pursuing. This has allowed me to experience two quite different models of education, one entirely traditional and the other fully digital. In Turkey, digital education is still extremely limited in the social sciences, and law is completely excluded. In the past, associate degree programs in law were offered through distance education, but they were discontinued due to concern about quality. Similarly, during the pandemic, compulsory online education raised doubts about graduates' competence. In short, digital platforms can facilitate education and may not necessarily require artificial intelligence technology, but they cannot completely replace traditional legal education. And I am an assistant professor in the Department of Commercial Law at the Faculty of Law at the University. At the same time, I also teach courses in the faculties of Economic and Engineering. My academic work focuses on commercial law and IT law. On this slide, you can see my IT law courses together with the number of enrolled students. One important point is that IT law is a compulsory course for engineering students, but only an elective for law students. I was the first to introduce this course at the Faculty of Law. In addition, I designed the AI and law course entirely myself and succeeded in having included it in the curriculum. This process took me 2 years, as integrating innovative courses into a traditional legal curriculum is a real challenge. Private universities tend to act faster, through often at the cost of depth and quality, while in the state universities, the process is slowed down by bureaucracy. At Athens University, however, I was able to establish these courses thanks to the forward-looking vision of the university leadership. Another striking point is student interest. Normally, elective courses attract around 15-20 students, yet more than half of the law students choose these courses. What is even more remarkable is that they did so without knowing exactly what the content would be. This demonstrates the strong curiosity of young law students towards technology and artificial intelligence. I first taught the IT law course at the Faculty of Engineering, and in the following year, I delivered it both in engineering and law faculties. I kept, right, next slide. Uh, I kept the weekly course plan the same. The only difference was in the first week for engineering students, I introduced the basic concept of law, while for law students, I presented a brief history and key concepts of information technology. In the subsequent weeks, although the topics remained the same, the concepts developed differently depending on the curiosity and approach of the students. And, and as course materials, I recommended two traditional print sources. However, as a student of another university myself, I was extremely impressed with the Geri digital learning platform, which is open to all citizens of Turkey. I strongly believe that my students should also make active use of it. Therefore, alongside the printed books, I suggested the IT law course model of Anadolu University, which provides access to hundreds of thousands of free educational resources. And what do students think? In my exams, I didn't only test knowledge, I also included open-ended questions to capture students' free thinking about current issues in IT law. Their responses can be summarized as follows. Students emphasize that the law is lagging behind digital developments. They underlined the need for cooperation between lawyers and engineers in protecting personal data and combating manipulations such as deepfakes. Students expressed concern about AI operating independently, often uncontrolled. Most considered AI only as a supportive tool and insist that ultimate control must remain with human. They found it unfair to place the entire burden on IT experts where the law is inadequate. They argued that responsibility should be shared more fairly between engineers and users. Heavy working conditions, sexism, and prejudice were highlighted, with a particular emphasis on the need for women to be more visible in the field. Students pointed out the risk of unemployment brought by accelerating digitalization and called for regulation to balance human-machine collaboration. The rise of AI. Above all, the most prominent theme throughout the course was artificial intelligence. Both law and engineering students identified AI technologies as the most pressing challenge in IT law today. And the AI and law course that I introduced into the curriculum was offered for the first time last semester to second year students. As the weekly schedule shows, the design was not focused on legislation, but rather on philosophy. The full title of the course is The Conceptual Foundation of AI and its Interaction with Legal Disciplines. However, students' expectations were extremely high. Some believed that by the end of the semester they would be able to write codes or develop programs. In fact, one student asked me in the sixth week, when are we going to start AI? Yes, even among computer engineering graduates, only a very small number managed to specialize in this field. This experience showed me a clear lesson. The less knowledge there is, the higher the expectations become. And for course material, as with my previous courses, I recommended relevant modules from the free digital learning platform. As a printed source, I completed and shared my own book, uh, written after many years of study on the philosophical and legal dimensions of AI. I gave this book to my students free of charge. Both in writing it and in distributing it, I relied entirely on my own resources. Even though I received no external support, I was very happy to contribute to my students in this way. In fact, without their interest, this book would most likely have remained as nothing more than a draft on my computer. And what do students think? Meeting the scope of the AI and law course, students arrived at the following insight. They recognize that intelligence is not unique to women, but can also be considered in comparison with machines, animals, and other living things in nature. They understood that AI is not merely a technology, but a multidisciplinary field with philosophical, scientific, and legal dimensions. They observed that digitalization, driven by the aim of reducing human error and accelerating services, is transforming law, e-justice, and automation systems will reshape legal professions. Unemployment, loss of human control, security vulnerabilities, and data privacy were identified as the most serious threats. They concluded that ethical principles, a human-centered approach, and preventive legal regulations are essential in AI design. They accepted that the question of whether AI is to be classified as an object, a person, or a new legal category is not only technical, but also deeply connected to human values. And this teaching experience, after all, I have provided several key insights. Law students are increasingly interested in technology despite being collective. More than half of them opted for technology-focused courses. Engineering students, on the other hand, show strong interest in law courses closely connected to their profession. This indicates the need to expand subject-focused law courses in both disciplines to offer joint courses in overlapping areas such as legal tech, and to broaden opportunities for double degree programs. Engineering students tend to focus on systemic and technical shortcomings, while law students concentrate on legislation and legal gaps. For this reason, both course design and examinations should be differentiated according to discipline. Engineering students display strong ethical and moral sensitivity. These values should be emphasized across all courses, including through implicit learning. In recent years, students' motivation has shifted beyond finding employment towards making a contribution to society and striving for a better world. This reflects a move away from Maslow's hierarchical pyramid towards moral needs emerging on a more horizontal plane. Law students are concerned about the adequacy of law in the digital field and call for cooperation with engineering. Engineering students share this view, suggesting the inclusion of lawyers, ethics committees, and legal oversight in projects. Free and digital resources are of great importance. In the information age, in my opinion, the real cost is not access, but creating the time to learn. Universities should therefore invest in databases and promote digital literacy as a key aspect of sustainability. Educators should no longer dictate knowledge, but act as guides, asking the right questions and unlocking students' potential. Although AI technologies have destructive effects on law and education, my teaching experiences show that the human need for human interaction persists. Law and engineering are disciplines that aim to make human interactions safe and sustainable. It is therefore inevitable that information system must remain human-centered. And I would like to complete with the words of Franz Kafka. The true path runs along a road that is not straight high up, but just above the ground. It seems more likely to cause one to stumble than to be walked on. Preparing our students for the age of AI is, in fact, about rediscovering human freedom and responsibility. What led us to build these systems, the children of our own mind, was our curiosity. It's if we are to surrender entirely to digital solution, it will not be because of the system's perfection, but because of our own inability to realize or our own potential, our own our own potential for perfection. Imagine if AI had been developed in the dark age and the practice of law had been handed over to robot judges, and lawyers. I would mostly, I would most likely have been declared a witch and burned. Even today, thinking outside of the box and striving for freedom remain full of obstacles. Law itself is still far from a flawless system. We continue to face the need to revise, to abandon, and even to restart many of our inherited dogmas. This is why free thought must be protected outside the circle, the cycle of perfection promised by technology. What makes the human mind superior to the machine is not greater intelligence, but the capacity to admit mistakes and to turn back from them. The development of human rights, environmental rights, and perhaps one day even machine will depend on this very capacity, the ability to admit that we have not been just enough. Thank you very much for your attention.